What do you get when you create a movie that is an amalgamation of the Kingsman series, the Bourne series, the Bond series, La La Land, Sex and the City, and maybe even a bit of the book report from the musical You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown? The answer to that is the just-released Matthew Vaughan movie, Argylle. As that list of influences on this movie might suggest, Argylle is a mess. Hi, this is Tom from Spy Movie Navigator and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. This is a movie that I've been waiting for since I first heard about it. It sounded like it was going to be great. Unfortunately, it's a dud. I'm going to start with some quotes from the other 7 people in the theater that were there with me. Quote, "This was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't know who that movie was for. I don't know anyone who would like it. I was hoping it would be more like Kingsman. I didn't like any of it. I didn't even like the actors." When we do these no spoiler reviews, our goal is to give you enough for you to decide whether or not a spy movie is worth your time and money. Those quotes probably give you a clue as to where this episode is heading. Now, normally I can find something in a spy movie to like, and I'm finding it a mission impossible to come up with something to like in Argylle. And yes, that mission impossible that I put in there was an attempt at bad humor. Yet it was better than any of the humor in Argylle. Now, our guidance for you is not to bother with this movie, even when it comes to streaming. It's going to be on Apple Plus. It's a terrible movie, in my opinion, as well as the opinions of the other people who saw the movie with me. Now, we don't give out many don't bother to see this movie opinions in our no spoiler reviews, but Argylle has earned one. Since we release these reviews right when the movie comes out, we keep them as no spoiler reviews. And we'll keep that practice going forward here. Therefore, I'm not going to go into the plot. Oh wait, I'm not quite sure I am able to explain the plot to you. It's one of the most convoluted plots I've come across in a long time. Now, to be fair, they went for a concept and they wrote it to the end. They definitely put out what it appears they were trying to do. They came out with this concept and they went with it. And it's kind of sad because I sort of get what the overall premise was. I just don't think they knew how to put it together. The high-level premise, it might have worked out if the script was better. But this was just a mess, which was really disappointing. This movie felt like director Matthew Vaughan and writer Jason Fuchs didn't have a clue how to put this plot, and I'll put the word plot in quotes here, together. Plus, it seemed they just wanted to spend time linking to their other previous movies. As an example, Fuchs was an actor in La La Land. One of the fights towards the end of the movie kind of felt like La La Land meets Kingsman: The Secret Service. Some of the shots were almost right out of Kingsman, and so it was kind of weird. Oh yeah, and toss in a rom-com as well. This thing just is a garbled mess. All of that said, this is a spy movie and there is action. Not always good action, and there's some terrible CG, but it is a spy movie. And since it's a spy movie, there needs to be a scene with a fight on a train. Most good spy movies have one. Well, here in Argylle, we do get a fight on a train, and this scene may have been the best scene in the movie, in my opinion. And it wasn't a great scene, but for the movie, it probably was the best scene. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to see this movie was this cast list. And I'm kind of in shock they were able to make a movie with a cast this good and a movie this bad. Argylle stars Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, John Cena, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, Sophia Boutella, and Samuel L. Jackson. What a great cast. However, I doubt any of these actors will be talking about this movie after their press tour ends. Now, another actor in this movie is a Scottish fold cat. This cat belongs to Matthew Vaughan's daughter in real life. And if you remember, after Kingsman: The Secret Service, Vaughan talked about how hard it is to work with animals. Well, you put a different type of an animal here, cat instead of a dog, and most of the time the cat is in a backpack. Now, when a cat is your most consistent part in your movie, even when there's some bad CGI around it, you have a bad movie. Now, another reason a movie can be this bad with that cast has to be poor writing. And if you want to know why I say the writing is bad, here's a line from the movie. Quote, "I guess the whirlybird doesn't always catch the worm," unquote. And there are whirlybird jokes throughout this movie. And most of the humor was this bad. I mean, one of the audience members complained that the plot was too jokey. They tried to be serious and funny at the same time, and they didn't pull it off. They did in Kingsman, but they don't do it here. And there's also an ongoing attempt to introduce dancing in this movie. It's often based on that whirlybird thing we mentioned above, and it has no place in this movie. Yes, you can have a dance sequence in a spy movie if it fits. Think of that tango scene in Never Say Never Again. That tango fit in that movie, it advanced the plot, and it made sense. Here in Argylle, the attempts at dancing just fell flat. Oh wait, I just thought of something that I thought was good in Argylle. Unfortunately, you see it in the trailers. The spies in this movie are not the glamorous, absolutely stunning actors we see in most spy movies. And they play on that and comment on it in the plot. Yes, Henry Cavill is in this movie, but I don't want to give away his role. But if you think about most spy movies, the spies are very good looking. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on the two leads here, Sam Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard. But they don't give off the same vibe as a Henry Cavill or Pierce Brosnan or a Gal Gadot in this movie. And that was by design. And it's the only thing in Argylle that worked for me. In our podcast episode we did with the CIA operative Andrew Bustamante, he talked about how a spy should blend in and seem like a normal person, not walk around in a tuxedo unless it was called for. So I guess that's a positive of this movie. They played the spies as normal people. And that worked for me. Too bad they ruined it by including that line about it in the trailer. Now, one other thing I want to point out. As Matthew Vaughan normally does, there is an end credits scene not too far into the final credits. And I heard more than one person say words to the effect, they didn't just do that. Well, I'm going to keep this no spoiler, but if for some reason you watch this movie and you stick around for the end credits, I'd be shocked if you don't cringe when you see the end credits scene. Now, finally, I referred to the song The Book Report from the musical You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at the beginning of this episode. And again, I don't want to give away the plot, and this is really kind of a stretch, but in that song, the character Schroeder revises his report while writing it, and then he goes off on tangents. The book reports on Peter Rabbit, and he goes off and talks about Robin Hood. And then he gives us the line, as you can tell from the story of Peter Rabbit, which this report is about. He had to remind us what his report was about. It kind of felt like that happens in Argylle. It goes off on tangents and comes back to remind us that this is a book about the series Argylle. I mean, just ugh. All right, as we said in our opinion, Argylle is a waste of your time and money. In fact, this may surprise regular listeners of this show, but I think Argylle is much worse than the James Bond movie Die Another Day. And that's saying something. As you know, I hate Die Another Day. Now, I could go on and on about why this movie is bad, the plot, the action, the bad CG, the bad humor, the writing, and such, but I think I'm going to just wrap it up here. I mean, there's no reason to go on. There's no reason for you to go see this movie, and there's no reason for you to watch it when it comes on streaming, at least in my opinion. So that's a wrap of our review of the just-released spy movie Argylle. If for some reason you do go see this one, and we don't recommend you do, please let us know your thoughts at info@spymovienavigator.com. We'd love to hear from you. This has been Tom from SpyMovieNavigator.com and our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. Be sure to check out our other podcast episodes on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you spending time with us.